In 1974, 20 years after the initial plastic boom and 50 years before this government-issued humiliation ritual became the norm, famous drink company Coca-Cola, in collaboration with Monsanto, launches the Easy Goer, aka the first ever plastic soft drink bottle. Very cool. Plastic is more energy efficient to produce. Glass furnaces require much higher temperatures, resulting in much higher energy consumption. Not to mention, glass is bulkier and more fragile, while plastic bottles take a lot less space. They are easily stackable and there's no need for padding between units. So a truck can carry way more product, which means lower fuel consumption and CO2 emissions. If you simply view it this way, glass bottles have 3 times the carbon footprint of plastic bottles. But let's not fall for corporate cope and actually look at the bigger picture. Glass does not break down into toxic micromaterials and it's chemically inert, therefore infinitely easier to dispose of and more importantly, infinitely recyclable. Done with your beverage? Great, here's 2p back for the bottle. It will now get cleaned and refilled. If the bottle cannot be used anymore, it gets melted down and turned into a new bottle. Recycling plastic leads to the degradation of polymer chains, meaning recycled plastic is of much lower quality and is turned into textiles or construction materials rather than new bottles. While a melted down glass bottle can replace up to 95% of the raw materials needed to make a new one. Furthermore, less than 15% of plastic bottles, which so proudly hold the label recyclable, get recycled. But of course, you still have to recycle your bottles. Don't forget the cap. Companies will remind you as often as they can. They'll also tell you about the 8 million metric tons of plastic that get an all-expenses-paid holiday to the ocean every year. And oh look, the plastic's in the soil now. It's in your food, in your baby's food, and it's even made its way inside your ball sack. Even if you think, screw the environment, 2 million species, I don't care if a few go extinct. On the side of plastic, you still get hit with erectile dysfunction, cancer, and worst of all, these fucking caps. Now, this isn't even what frustrates me. I've swallowed enough gum and drank enough E40 to know, well, I'm cooked. Being poisoned doesn't even faze me. You mean my chicken tenders have been treated with chlorine? Who gives a crap? When I was a kid, drinking pool water was part of the sport. What I cannot stand, however, is being blatantly lied to and gaslit. Here's the actual frustrating part. I just explained how plastic bottles are more energy efficient, so you might think, oh, that means after the switch, Coca-Cola got cheaper. Well, it did, but not for the consumer, for the company. The plastic bottles cost just as much as the glass ones despite being cheaper to produce and distribute. And still, the switch was heavily marketed as more convenient for the consumer, not the company. I don't have to return bottles anymore. Isn't that nice? Oh yeah. But you still have to throw them away at specific locations, otherwise you're a terrible person and you're dooming the planet. Wait, what? 8 million tons of plastic are killing the fish, do you not care? A little bit after the ban of the cancerous, by the way, Easy Goer bottles, authorities were concerned with the environmental impact of plastic and proposed a federal bill banning all single-use bottles and cans. It failed to pass. And I'll now explain the cartoon villain levels of greed and manipulation that made it fail. Between the 70s and 80s, Big Plastic started heavily promoting recycling. And by creating campaigns like Keep America Beautiful, aka Clean Up After Us for Free and Please Don't Sue, beverage and packaging companies aim to portray handling waste as a citizen's moral duty. Nobody wants to be a litter bug, said some of the world's biggest polluters while lobbying governments to make recycling and waste management a municipal duty. Oh yes, recycling campaigns were only made in an effort to shift the cost and burden of managing waste onto consumers and local government. Despite the companies knowing that they're the ones creating the problem, profiting off of the problem, and the fact that it was a problem with no solution. Large-scale recycling is proven to not be economically viable in 2026, and it sure as hell was not something feasible in the 70s. People on the inside knew that, yet successfully fought off a potential ban on single-use bottles. And how? By simply showing their customers a picture of a dead turtle and saying, yeah, you should probably be doing something about that. And that's the story of how you became responsible for cleaning and sorting out recyclables that are unfortunately destined to end up in a landfill anyway. Because the truth is, only 9% of all plastic ever gets recycled. And Nobody wants to own plastic, but companies still claim this shift happened only because of the consumer's demands for more convenience. Of course, the lies do not stop there. In a famous speech from April 1970, the CEO of Coca-Cola expressed concern for the environmental impact of single-use bottles, but reassured the public that they are working on a bottle that can be incinerated without giving off any noxious gas, fumes, or smoke in the process. It's been 50 years. Famous drink company has not made any progress on this. But guess what? They don't need to invent a bottle that's better for the environment. I might even go as far as to say they already know that there's a bottle that's better for the environment. Behold. And I'm not going to talk about the possibility of using bioplastics, by the way, because you'd pretty much have to choose between hamburgers or biodegradable bottles. Both need corn to exist, a lot of it, and also you need corn, and maybe watch my video on this, you'll understand. Anyways, in 2020, when confronted with the question, why have you not made the switch? Coca-Cola responded by saying, no, consumers don't want that. It would alienate our customers. We're doing other stuff right now, like basically the same stuff we've been doing for years, so... And I found this hilarious. Because a biodegradable/glass bottle will not alienate your customers. New Coke alienated your customers. Generative AI advertisement alienated customers. Putting swastikas on bottles alienated customers. Coca-Cola is actually very happy with alienating a few customers as long as it's profitable. Making the switch to environmentally friendly alternatives is actually going to cost them money. And that's where they draw the line. Like, they know they got their aspartame ball sack in the mouths of enough people, so they don't really need to care about the plastic inside your ball sack. And you'll be like, haha, look, Wednesday from Netflix is on this bottle. 5 years later, you get married and your wife gives birth to little Jimmy, who has so much plastic already inside his body, he might as well be legally considered a reborn baby doll. Admit it. You have not done anything cool since inventing Santa Claus, substituting obesity for cancer, and making a clear socialist Coke so a Soviet war hero can enjoy the American imperialism juice without being punished. I know I'm tweaking, but it's only because I feel like there's plenty of solutions and nobody in charge gives a crap. They're just like, have this cap instead. And say BS like, oh, we support redemption schemes and we're working with programs and have initiatives that aim to improve recycling infrastructure. The only initiative I want to hear about is a Coca-Cola bin in every store where I put my cans and you give me my club card points and I get reassured that they will be recycled by you. Actually recycled, not sorted. Sending garbage to Romania is not recycling. These people won't have a single tree left by 2030. Yeah, at this point in the video, what I'm about to say is obvious, but the bottles you recycle at supermarkets are either incinerated or they get turned into Shein thongs, and oh look at that. Back to the landfill. I guess the good news is, yes, you and local authorities have been gaslit by famous food and drink company to share the responsibility and cost of recycling. But in the EU, the EPR, or Extended Producer Responsibility, got passed in 2024. Full implementation, aka Coca-Cola paying the cost of recycling, is expected to happen next year, but honestly, that does not eliminate the problem. It just makes it clear who is to actually blame. And now that we're talking about the European Union, it's time to get to my last talking point. Beverage and packaging companies, members of the European Parliament, Dr. Michael Kruger. Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think if I'm told that you have to recycle the bottle and the bottle cap, if the cap isn't tethered to the bottle, I'm just gonna take it off and walk it to the nearest landfill myself? This isn't only annoying, it's fucking disrespectful. This is what bro was talking about. And it's the last goddamn straw for me. Oh, final paper straw, I should say. Let me just vent about this too. Because if my understanding is correct, plastic straws are the root of all evil, despite the fact that paper straws have higher carbon emissions and can't be recycled if contaminated with food or drink. Yeah, they're better for the environment, only if you don't fucking use them. Once again, just like this cap, this is performative eco-friendliness not supported by facts. The facts are that if these straws are not disposed of properly and end up in a local landfill, which is exactly what happens, the environmental harm they do increases sixfold, which completely offsets the advantages of this biodegradable material. So once again, I have been inconvenienced for no good reason. inconvenience the goddamn companies for once, not me. Or at least give me some respect and just tell me to bring my own straw. Don't give me a funnel that has the structural integrity of cream cheese and tell me to drink my tango in the 3 minutes it takes for the straw to become mash. There was nothing wrong with this. There really wasn't. If companies and retailers cared, if they really cared and didn't just want to avoid bottle bills, we would have these drinks being dispensed from machines in stores. Another thing vaguely promised to us by 2030. But trust me, if perfecting hygiene and sanitation was the only thing standing in the way of eliminating millions of tons of plastic waste, a creative solution would have emerged. A creative solution which is not this fucking cap. But it's not just about hygiene or quality control. It's the cost of actually setting this up, and it's the cost of losing customers who just want a convenient bottle to carry around for a bit. The truth is, bigger cities can never achieve what they're doing in places like Kamikatsu. Companies will keep saying, oh, it's for the consumer, but nobody really wants this much plastic packaging. In a lot of cases, it is legitimately useless. Like, I swear, by the time I open a multi-pack Bueno, I don't even want it anymore. Why are you so scared of being a Twix? But also, I can't live off of slightly more expensive beans and oat milk knowing Mars bars exist. I guess to finish out the video, you ruined it, you fix it, stop lying, get rid of the caps, get rid of the bottles, and repent for your sins. Okay, bye.